Good evening, everyone. On behalf of IAP and IAP technical team, I would like to welcome our today's speaker, Dr. Suresh Mani sir, and our chief guest, Dr. Sandeep Seni sir. We welcome you, sir. And our today's moderator is Dr. Priyanka ma'am. She is associate professor in Lovely Professional University and state coordinator IAP Women's Cell Punjab chapter. Before handover to moderator, I request to all the participants please like and subscribe IAP YouTube channel and Facebook page for watching all online webinars. Now I over to you, Dr. Priyanka ma'am, to moderate this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jaspreet. A very good evening to all of you. Myself, Dr. Priyanka, Sub-Coordinator IAPC, IAPWC Punjab. I welcome all the esteemed guests and the participants for this webinar organized by IAPWC Punjab in association with IAP Chapter Punjab. Today, as we gathered here for the webinar on CRUX of publishing in high impact journals, a physiotherapist perspective, I would like to present my warm welcome to our worthy chief guest, Dr. Sandeep Saini, Principal CMC Physiotherapy Ludhiana and Chairperson North Zone Anti-Quackery Committee, IAP. Also ex-President Punjab IAP. We would like to have few words from you, sir, handing over the mic to Dr. Sandeep Saini.
Good evening, one and all. First, I would like to thank Dr. Priyanka for introducing myself. It's give me immense pleasure to be here with you all and to address my fellow colleagues. The woman IOP concept has been established or a brainchild of Dr. Ruchi ji, my sister, very thoughtful for all and overall growth of my female physiotherapist across the nation. Physiotherapy education is not just a amount of information that is put into a physiotherapist's brain, undigested, unrelated, and unassimilated. Organizing such webinars are only possible because of the effort put in by Dr. Ruchi Vashne. And at the same time, I would like to thank Dr. Jha sir, Dr. Anna sir, and Dr. Deepti Goyal, North Zone, and their entire team for expressing faith in me and giving me the opportunities. And also thanks Dr. Suresh Mani, our today's speaker, for accepting our invitation as a speaker. I also thank Dr. Chinder Sharma sir, President IAP Punjab, and his entire team. In the end, I would like to extend my special thanks to Dr. Devinder, President, Women IAP Punjab, and for inviting me as a chief guest of the evening. And also, I would like to thank her entire team, Dr. Shweta, Dr. Priyanka, Dr. Reena Arora, Dr. Sarafpal. And in the end, I would like to thank you all once again for organizing such a session. And I also thanks Dr. Anna, Dr. Suresh Mani for accepting our invitation. Thank you, Dr. Priyanka. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your warm words. Without any delay, I would like to introduce our resource person for the event today, Dr. Suresh Mani, HOD Department of Physiotherapy, Lovely Professional University, an eminent researcher and an awesome academician. He has been lending his services to this profession for long 20 years, and we are very thankful, sir, that you accepted our invitation for making out time for your to share your esteemed knowledge with all of us. So I would like Sir to please join us and handing over the mic to Dr. Suresh Mani.
Very good evening to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the IAP Punjab, the president, and also the chief guest, Sandeep Deep Saini sir, and the president of Punjab and the national president of Sanjeev sir, and the Ruchi ma'am, for making this platform even this pandemic. So this has created a wonderful platform for communicate each one of us and enrich our knowledge in the field of physiotherapy. Just hold on. Yeah, this is a great pleasure for us to be here to learn few things. And thank you, Dr. Priyanka ma'am, for organizing and given me this opportunity to be here to present, in one of the key area of current world research. This is one of the fundamental as well as very important aspect of our academics as well as clinics that we are working in our professions. So thank you once again. I hope this presentation is going to be a useful one for everyone, not only for those who are working in academics and students and researchers, master students, and those who are in particularly working in clinicals, and then they are only focused on kind of treating patients. They are not involved in actively involved in research. I would recommend, I would request, it's like appeal for everyone. Everyone should, participate in research. Try to disseminate your knowledge, your clinical practice to others. Thank you, ma'am. Can I start my presentation?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me share my window to you. I hope everyone can see my window, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening once again, everyone. Today's topic, it's the publishing in high impact, or I just put it like, not call it as a high impact. I can put it as high ranked journals, physiotherapist perspectives. So I'm Dr. Suresh Mani. As Dr. Priyanka ma'am has introduced me, I'm the head of the Department of Physiotherapy, Faculty of Applied Medical Sciences, lovely professional universities. So why this topic so important? Why everyone in the current world wants to publish their researches? So before starting going to your detail into the presentation, I would like to show one video. It's like a motivations, right? So let us watch this video first.
He was never offered a top Division I scholarship. Scouting reports said his explosiveness and athleticism was below standard. His first book was rejected by 27 different publishers. They said his material was too different and would never sell. He was 4 years old before he could speak and 7 before he could read. Teachers said he would never amount to much. Due to poor grades in high school, he was rejected 3 times by the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. Her first book was denied 30 times. She was told repeatedly, "Sorry, that just wouldn't make a good book." He was fired from a newspaper for not being creative enough. They said he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. She was fired from her job after her boss told her that she was too emotional and just not fit for television. His teacher said he was hopeless and would never be a composer. He dropped out of college after 1 semester. At 30 years old, he was left devastated and depressed after being removed from the company he started. They overcame many obstacles and many doubters and had the rare courage to create a life that was true to them.
Okay, that was a wonderful video, isn't it? I think this is a motivation for everyone. When you start anything, we fail most of the time, even we may not be successful at the first, but when we start, keep on trying, keep on go, get involved in those, dreams to get. I hope, one day we're going to succeed. That's what happens, those people doing this, presenting in this small videos. So I just want to see, the graph, the country's leading world in scientific publications. It is number of science and engineering article published in peer-reviewed journal in 2018. When you see the statistics, the contribution from China and United States, it's more than 15%. 16% from US and 20% from China. But India contribution is very good. We are, in the third position. It is 5.31 percentage. The world, as compared with, China and United States, but when you have the workforce, the intellectual people in India, when you taking that consideration, the number of publication even in science is less, when you compare against the China and United States. So second one, when you get the country-wise documents, which is published, in kind of Scopus indexed or in a Web of Science based on the SJR. When you see this, 2018, the number of document which is published, when you put this in a most number of publications in order, sorting it from highest to the lowest. So it first in the United States, it published, 4,156 documents. But whereas in India, but if we are holding it, it's ranked 36th. You can see it here, 36th positions. In 2018, the documents we have, citable documents, it's just 68. The overall H index was, 31. So it shows, our commitments, as a physiotherapy workforce. India is one of the largest countries, also produce a lot of intellectual people, especially in physiotherapy. When it comes to these publications, we are still, lag behind from other, countries. We are, standing at, 36 positions as compared with other countries in the world. It's very, we can see this picture, when you want to publish your paper, before, getting it accepted, you need to go through different stages, right? First of all, it should come out from your own, will. So you should be confident. It's going to test your confidence many times, most of the times, I tell you. So when you start your paper, when it's shown to your supervisor or your guide, they will say a lot of changes in this. So that's going to drop your confidence level. Once, even if you come across your own willpower, to write a paper, and also you get a green signal, submit this paper from your supervisors, and also it has to go through the review process, peer review process. This is somewhat challenging, but it's not difficult. People are already achieving this, so it's not difficult, even though despite it looks very challenging, but it's not difficult at all. So the peer review, it's a very, it's an improvement, it's a very good concept that's going to support your writings, your way you presented your research problems, your new area of interest, to the world. So they're going to support, guide you, scientifically, to assist you to get your paper accepted. So what are the stages that involved in manuscript writing? When you get your publications, the first stage is to prepare your manuscript. The first one, you should be start your preparing, writing your papers. Then once you have completed your papers, it has to go to the editorial process. Then editor read through your paper, whether it's going to fit for his journal or not. Then he's going to, if it is fit for your journal, for this journal, then he's going to send out to the peer reviewing process. The reviewers, he's going to assign the reviewers, that they're going to go through line by line, each sentence by sentence, and going to give the comments based on their readings of your research work. So based on this review, it may be get accepted or rejected, or they can give some corrections, maybe the minor or major corrections, or they just reject your paper. So luckily, if you get your revisions or minor revisions, you should be very proud of yourself or, because the minor correction, it's acceptable on a way of your final stage. Once they are accepted with the final corrections, you're going to you know um, make those changes and get resubmitted again. So once it's get accepted after the minor corrections or your corrections, it's going to publish online. you know so once it's published online, you must start put promoting your work. You should cherish your work by promoting, sharing with your friends and your colleagues, your academic people. And also you should share it with your social media, where the professionals meet, like a LinkedIn or the gate. So you should share your so that it is get the visibility to many people, those going to read your papers. You get, if they other people are doing a similar research, they might use your paper, they're going to cite your paper, so that you're going to get more citations out of it. I mean, in additions, there are some universities, they have, once its paper is released, they're going to give the press release, that is going to advertise your work, you promote your work. And also you can, prepare a small write-up in a newspaper, or you can create a podcast, video and audio podcast, that can be published online your university website, or if you have any personal website that you have. So this is how you need to start from your first step is your manuscript preparations, and the rest of them editorial process till you publish you and promote your papers. So why we should publish? That's a very key question everyone should ask. Why we should publish your paper, your ideas? I think publications, it's everyone's interest now, especially in academics. If you don't publish, you may not be get promoted. You may not revise your they will not get increment. Not just an increment, it's a promotion. It is like a self improvement in your careers. How are you going to put forward your academic careers, your research careers? So this word is publish or perish. You should publish. Even those who are accreditations um, 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 process, they ask more than 60% of no, the contribution of accreditations marks. It is taken by your publications. You should publish. Those university having more number of publications, they are getting chance of getting accredited. So this is very crucial, for every universities, or even in individual level, they should publish to improve or stand in the field wherever, whichever profession that you are in. So what we should publish? We should publish to present a new and original result or methods. So you should have published, kind of advancement in knowledge, and that is going to give understanding of a new concept. And also you should publish to review in your field or summarize in a particular subjects or any atypical case that you get. All right. So you should publish something racialized, published results. Already those are published, you might you can define it or redefine it, which is going to create something new. I know it's a very novel kind of thing that you have come across during your clinical practice or in your out of your studies. So you should have a very original work, new, and also the new novel content of your study. So we should not publish which is already published elsewhere. So we should not do that. So you should have very original novel ideas and advancements in a new techniques in your in our field, a new knowledge, a new area that's going to understand, your understanding your clinical practice. I mean, one of the point what I get it's in a 20 years or 30 years back, the way in which we treated back pain is different. We use, local massage or exercises. Now, based on, now the current research, EMG study, other thing, we that's totally changed in which we treated patients with low back pain. So we have changed our, approach, the treatment of low back pain. I mean, training the core muscles, different using EMG and biofeedback techniques. So you should present a new and novel ideas. The second one, what we should not publish. So report has no scientific interest. Nobody is going to, show interest of your field, right? So we should not, publish those. And also outdated work. Actually, someone was collected long back, 15 years back, right? It is not relevant to the current practice. After that, there are many number of new things has come up. So we may not need to, publish those outdated works. And also the duplication of works. I mean, see, this is very, very important. When we propose any topic to a student, you make sure that this nothing has been done before. Most of the time, we are trying to do a simple literature search, Google, what happens most of the time, I know. So we should, should not duplicate the others' work. We should not republish, or we should not recook the same food again and again. So we should do something new in your area. And also this, we should not publish where you have incorrect and non-acceptable conclusions. It's very important whenever you conclude something, you should have support with the theories, backgrounds, supporting theories. So if you're not able to supporting theories or something, it is, it's not going to get published anyway. So we should not publish that. So why we should publish in high ranked journal? That's another question. I mean, see, this is, when you have this highly ranked journals, it is visible to larger amount of audience. When people tend to see, suppose any journal which is published in Nature, most of people go through every month, see what is, advancement in the area. So you should have, high ranked journals. It gives this enhanced visibility with a larger audience. And also these reputations, they're reputed to publish, good journals in this particular journal. And also this professional editors. I mean, they have, core group of editors, in-house editors. So they're ready to, review your process, review your journals. So that will going to, reduce your, the submission of your papers and the acceptance of papers. So it's a time duration between these two, it is minimized. And also they do your post publication promotions. They also develop, advertise different kind of Twitters, Facebook. So they're going to do it, post publication promotions. So why this is the reasons that you should publish in high ranked journals. Okay, the next thing what we need to understand, we should ask yourself before writing your papers, before writing your manuscript. The first question is, why do you want to publish your research? You must be very clear about it. Why do you want? Is it novel? You see, you should only publish when you have this very novel or original researches. So have you done anything, something new in your area, or is there any challenging in your work, or is it current topic of interest? Have you provided any solution to some difficult problems? These are the questions you should ask, while writing your papers. For example, current topic of interest, it's very important now during this pandemic, how this COVID is have an impact on lung capacity or the elastic recoiling capacity of your lung, right? Maybe those who are from the cardiothoracic background, they'll understand it better, right? So this is, current topic, how we going to improve, or if the person is affected twice or chronic reoccurrence of COVID, Will it have a high impact on his lung capacity or not? These are some research questions which is currently relevant. huh? Or is there anything challenging in your work? I think what is challenging is like how the sitting balance in a stroke patients, it's going to improve in acute stroke patients. Sitting balance in acute stroke rehabilitation, it's always the challenging. It's another challenging is how the hand functions improvement in the hand functions in stroke patients. It's always a difficult part, a challenging part in your work, in a clinical work, right? So this is the question you must ask before writing your papers. So when you ask this question, if you say anything, any one of these questions, yes, you say yes, then you must start your manuscript writing. So this is, chance of getting, published in high impact, high ranked journals. The next one is you should identify your right audience. You should, the topic of interest to be relevant to your audience. For example, you are publishing a paper. Suppose you have interested in neurological stroke, which are published in orthopedic journals may not be considered. The audience may be differs, so they may not going to read your article. Even first of all, they are not going to publish you there. But when you publish or write your papers, you should keep it in your mind that who is your audience, what is their interest, what is the topic of interest. And also you also look at the problem that you're going to address. It's the local problems or the international problems, or this is a local audience or international audience. Thus things needs to be thoroughly defined before writing your manuscript. So identify your right audience. So that's going to change your way way you're going to write your papers, and also the way you're going to present your inputs, your findings. Okay, let us move on to the key components of your writing. So first of all, the content of your manuscript. So when you write your paper, as I said, it should be novel. It should provide completely new directions. As I told, for example, firstly, I said that the back pain rehabilitation has changed tremendously past 20 years, right? So you should have, a novelty findings which is not published before. You should provide a completely new direction of your research. And also you should have a conceptual advancements, the new directions of the current practice. And also you should have very important research questions, clinically important, or define new mechanisms of your interest of new interventions. So you should have a very important research question you must ask. And also it's very important, you should use very sound study design. I think we are, most of the time we are ignore this. We just do very simple, case control studies, or you must use quasi experimental study. That kind of very non randomized control trials which we commonly use in master's thesis. The problem comes, the student may complete their project well, but the problem comes when you trying to publish in a high impact journals. They are not going to consider that. When you go through clinical rehabilitation, the paper, in which they have published only, you can read it, Google and see, they only publish RCTs, randomized control trial, in the physiotherapy rehabilitations. They only publish the systematic reviews and the meta-analysis. So you make sure that when you propose a study, make sure that you have a very good study design that is given eligibility certificate to publish in a high impact journals, right? So you should have good study and a sound study as near as possible. The second one, your data, right? So when you collect the data, see, if you say your study is very good, it means that your data is very good, right? That's why we should have a systematic procedure to collect your data. And also you should have the outcome measures that going to employ in your study should be valid and reliable. So that's going to add your values to your data. And also, when you, as I said, your outcome measures, the tool that you're going to use, you should have a valid, reliable, or is sensitive and specificity and sensitivity and specificity should be checked before employing in your studies. I think now people, those who are some of the academics or some people that want to do a study but they don't have access to any data, they don't have any decent or good data. But for such instances, they could collaborate with other groups, those who are doing research. So it is, you should have collaboration with other groups, those who are actively involved in collecting data. Or there are some free data sets are available. There are search engines from Google's, Kiggles, so that you can go through those database data sets that can be useful. You can utilize those to write your papers, right? So your data, it's very, very important, the heart of everything you do. It's the core of your pillar of your study. If you have a quality data, it means you have a quality study. So there's some data sets that I just want to share with you. One is the Kaggle. Search here exercise pattern predictions. I got one, maybe you can go through in detail. I haven't explored much on this, but you can go through and search, get more info on this. And also there is a Google data set search engines where, I search Pedro Cochrane assess the quality of life clinical trials. So you can get those doc and Excel sheets, the data you can be get it from there. Hope this is useful. Those who are don't have access to good data, they couldn't able to collect it, they may use this data for their study purpose, for writing their papers. But others, those who want to study, they also can do reviews, systematic reviews. If you are experienced in writing that, or if they were undergone any training in Cochrane, they also can go through, do the Cochrane reviews, or even they could do the narrative reviews. These things can be have can be done without access to any data, if you have a experience in doing literature search. Another important things, when you start writing your paragraphs, you starting your title, you enter the draft of your papers, you must ask some two questions, the guiding questions, right? The first one is a true. When you write any sentences, right, when you write your result sections, when you write your discussion sections, you must ask every sentence or end of every paragraph and say that is it true, right? So that's the second question is, so what? So actually my supervisor, when he was reading my paper, actually we need to take a printout of it, sit next to him. So he will go line by line. He'll say everywhere, you'll ask, so what, so what, so what, so what? Or everywhere you can see a lot of these questions will be there. So that's going to, redefine the way you look at your writing, right? For example, people say have a significant improvement in quality of life post exercises, significant p-value less than 0.0005. So what? So you have a significant, what is its implications? How are we going to employ this on your clinical practice? How is going to change the way you are practicing currently? So these, you should ask these questions. So what? The two questions again, repeat again. Is it true? When you write something, you should ask this question, is it true? Or so what? Is it true? And so what? This two principle you should use while you writing your manuscript. Let us proceed further. When you write your title, uh, you should have very strong title. You can see this diagram, you should give more focus, on title, followed by abstract and paper writing. Your body of your manuscript. The title should be have good. You should have a very strong title. This is going to determine how many people is going to read your paper, right? So this is the key. So you should, make very summarize in a sentence summarizing your key findings. And also you should, distinguish from other papers. You should capture your readers' attentions. You should have a key message from your, from your findings. So you should be strong. Your title should be strong so that you get access, get attracted by the readers, right? So what you should do in writing your title, use action verbs, right? To make, to synthesize, to analyze, to high level action verbs you should use. And also you should keep, very short, not more than 10 to 12 words or 15 words. So you should keep it very simple with action verbs. I mean, one of the things what I observed, when we see the title, when the students or the students they write the titles, there is no link between your title, your objectives, your methodologies, and your discussions and results. All these are, it's in coherence with each other. You should have, link with, you should not have different methodologies to, prove your title, right? So make sure that you have a linking all those, content or structures or categories of your writings. Don't We should not use generic words, the investigation of, or study of, we should not use that. So unknown abbreviation you should not use, metaphors, we should not play with words. And sometimes they, nowadays I see a lot of question based, is it useful, some question based titles, but in general we should not use questions in a title. And also the abbreviations, right? So I see the title they use abbreviations, um, like myofascial trigger point, they use MTRP. So they say like it's a mnemonics for the short form for myofascial trigger point. So we should not use, short form mnemonics, in the title. So this is about title. Let us proceed further. The abstract. So this abstract, you should use this to sell your hard work. The abstract, see, when you send out your paper for publications, the reviewer will going to see, look at your title. Then he will going to see your abstract. The abstract's going to, it should be, acceptable, it's relevant, so that the reviewers, they'll send it for the peer reviewing process, else you're going to reject your paper. So you're going to use your abstract as a selling, for your hard work. So your paper may get rejected by the editor just reading your title and abstract. So it's very, very important you should have, your title. And also the title, the abstract should have your introduction topic, state your problems, summarize your findings, demonstrate the broader implication or impact of your study. Even that is depends on the what kind of, abstract that you're going to write. It's based on your research objectives. Whether you want to doing your descriptive study or informative study like RCT is other thing, or if you do a systematic review, critical method, types of abstract. And also you must also look at the guidelines in the journal, whether they are looking for the structured and unstructured journal, abstracts. So some people, some journal they use unstructured, and the some journal they use structured abstracts. And also the word limits, whether they some journal they use, they accept 250 words, some journal they accept 300 words. You need to carefully look the guidelines to authors to prepare for your abstracts. So let us proceed. How would you write your main paper, right? So very important, you should have collaborative writing. I think I see, now the people, they were afraid of, write, mingle with, not all mingle, but sharing writing with others. I think people, they think that it is my work, I should not have shared with anyone. They single-handedly do anything, many things, but this going to fail them in the process of getting accept publications. So what you need to do, you need to create a group of people, right, in your same interest or same area, and have a discussion, meet and discussions, and develop a strategy to write the papers. So you need to involve the experts, but you may not be expert, all the thing that the paper is asked for. I mean, this request for. So you should have, involve other people in your area of interest, so that you can do a collaborative writings. And also, it's very important, you should choose appropriate journal, right? So you should write your first draft of paper, as I said, keeping your readers your mind, right? And also you should look, certain informations that related to our field. Suppose if you're physiotherapist, they usually look for the disabilities, exercises, and also the related statistics which is related to that. So you should choose your appropriate journals. How do you choose appropriate journals? Because if you want to publish a stroke content, you should go for neurological rehabilitation or neurological clinical rehabilitation or into stroke rehabilitations, right? So you should be careful, choosing your appropriate journals. You should, and also describe your study as a compelling story. So you should write, you can narrate write your paper as a story, so that the people, start reading, without taking off their eyes. So ask a big questions, answer as near as possible. So reflect your big pictures. So very important is keep it very simple. Don't, put more than three objectives or single objectives. It's sufficient to write in a paper. I see people are, writing more than two, three, four objectives in a single manuscript. So it's very difficult to, organize your writings. So that's going to spoil your the way you providing the informations, your critical thinking or critical writing, that going to affect your publications acceptance as well. So not more than three key messages should be given, keep it in your manuscript writing. Okay, when it comes to this academic or scientific writing, it's very difficult. The universally we write in English. It's difficult for us to write it in a good English, because we are not the native speakers. People now, with those who have studied even in English medium, they have a struggle to write, the good scientific manuscript, right? So when you have a difficulties, you better to collaborate those who are expertise in publications, those already published. So those who are starting their careers, in publications, better to involve those who are expert in writing. They suppose someone is native speaker in English, so you can invite them participate in your study, or you can, choose your best people in your area of interest, those who can, guide you, support you in writing your manuscript. And also there are some private things as available, where you can get approach from the scientific editors. They can edit, review your papers and correct your language corrections. And also pay attention to your structure, language of your paper. You read and enjoy. You should enjoy. The readers should enjoy while reading your papers. They should enjoy your papers. This next concept, important area, is the statistical test. Your statistical test, it depends on your study design, the research question that you're asking, sample size, and nature of your outcome measures. So what we should have when you write your papers, make sure that you use appropriate statistical tests that you use. I think what's very commonly used, when you propose any methodology, you must aware that what kind of statistical tool that you're going to use to analyze your study. If it is normally distributed, or not normally distributed. If your data is normally distributed, go for the parametric, that is based on your study design and research questions. If your data is not normally distributed, then go for the non-parametric. So that's very, very important. High impact, high ranked journals always look those things, statistical one. So that is going to, they're going to, review thoroughly. That is going to qualify your paper to be published in high impact journals. So, and also it's very important, the sample size. Are you, used appropriate sample size calculations or not? And also the assumption, as I said, the statistical test that you are employing, you should meet the assumptions uh, based on your different test. So that's going to determine whether you're going to use parametric and non-parametric statistical tools. And also, have you used, or you considered potential source of bias? And what are the percentage, if you're presenting a percentage, whether you added numerator and denominator? Because when you have this total n is 10, but you have numerator is 8, you'll have 80%. When you have increased your n, total number of n, suppose 1000, you get 600. So the percentages vary. So you should have, have this numerator and denominator very clearly. And also the p-value should be reported wherever is appropriate. Usually you should, some journals accept exactly, you need to provide the p-value. Suppose the p-value is less than 0.001 or 0.02y5, so they want to, want you to put exactly the p-value that you got during your analysis. Let us proceed further, the presenting your data. Okay, this is, visualizing your data. You can see this first graph, you can see, line frequency of the A and B, and also there is the bar chart, bar diagram displaying. So do you think this is correct method of presenting it? I think we should not do this, because they presented the data in a different format, right? That is not acceptable. And also here, the second one, bar graph, gender, male and female. Do you think this is a correct method in which we should present this bar diagram? I think we should not. So do you find what is the issue here? Since we are presenting the percentage, you should have, 100%. They stopped here, suddenly 60, it should be, 100, it should reach the 100, 0 to 100 percentage. So this is not, we should be very careful when you present your data. So how to present it? Just I want to give some, few examples. This is the frequency of time of injury in rugby league. What they did, less than, their categorical variable and also frequency they used. They use this one when they order it, ordinal, order it less than 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks. Then they displayed the frequencies. So another one is what I observed recently is some of the papers where published their correlation coefficients with the heat maps. It is very interesting way you can present your data. It's so appealing and it's very easy to read your findings. So this is a best method where you can use your data, analyze your presentations. So data analysis and also the presentation of your data is very, very crucial in scientific writing. The second one, explaining your data. You should translate your finding into simple form. It is accessible and meaningful informations. Before my viva, my supervisor told me, you do one thing, you go and tell your mother about your research. If you cannot see, that's what Einstein says, if you cannot explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So it's very, very important that you should understand, you should able to explain it in a simple language so that the people can understand, right? So it should be very, very simple method in which we can explain to others, communicate with others. And also ensure you use statistics are relevant to audience. All right, the way you're going to present your data, that's also very important. When we should know how to present your ANOVA when you're writing, right? So you should use, I mean, commonly I tell my student to use this APA format to write your results. So when you get another table, how are you going to write, display it in your writing, result sections. So you should be careful, understand this, the way in which we present your data. The next one, the referencing, it's very very important, because the reference make us very difficult sometime, in number of references, organizing it, and also inserting in your writings, and also create generative bibliography. It's very very difficult when you want to choose appropriate referencing style for different journals, right? Because different journals needs different kind of referencing style. So I would recommend, instead of manually adding your references, using some referencing softwares, right? RefWorks, EndNote, Zotero, Colbus, and Mendeley. I use Mendeley because it's easy for me. Quite often, and also it is free. You can use it. You are organize your referencing. I think it comes when you want to change your referencing style. In a single click, you can able to change your referencing. Right, this is very handy in doing your referencing. So referencing is very important. The reviewers carefully look at your reference. They carefully see whether the referencing is according to their guidelines or not. So they're going to critically review your referencing as well. And also, it's very important here, when you submit your paper on any journals, make sure that you're going through the guidelines to authors. The guidelines to author, we're going to give everything. For example, here I have this clinical rehabilitation. It is the with the 2.73 impact factor, right? It's a very good impact factor in our field. When you see this one, submission guidelines, you need to click there. So you'll get this, uh, what to publish, what are the aim of the scope, aim of the publications, and all the guidelines that you need to prepare for your manuscript. And also what kind of reference style they want. Are they using this EndNote? They having the sub extensions, so that they can you can download and put in your EndNote. It automatically formats according to the journal, right? In addition, you also need any language corrections and editing services. The journal also offer this. So everyone should visit this submission guidelines, while writing your papers, right? So once you decided your journal that going to submit your manuscript, and go through the guidelines to author, and go through in detail what they want, what guidelines, the type of manuscript that they accept, what is the guidelines for the referencing, how to prepare their manuscript. They sometimes they use some templates, word templates you can download. You can start putting that one, right? It automatically suits their publications. Oh, okay. All this information which is available in the guidelines, author's guidelines. So you should go through this and in detail before writing your papers. It's very very important. Proofreading is very very important, because when you write some papers, when some article you written one paragraph or two paragraph, ask your friends, share it with your friends. Don't get affirmation that you're going to steal my work. Not like that. Let them use, create your group, create your same interest group, so that you can exchange your writing. Suppose you write something, send it to him, so that he will critically go through, get the all the corrections. Or when he does something, he wrote something, he will send back to you. So you need to have this kind of group, where you can help each other in proofreading your work. So the proofreading is very, very important, right? So ask your colleagues, your friends, or if you have any native speakers, in English native speaker across, from the Western people, you can invite them, ask them, request them to write your paper. Not write your paper, review your paper. So, that would be handy to improve your writings. The next one, once you are completed your paper, right? So you need to submit. So very important, the covering letter. Most of us, we just ignore this. We just writing two few sentences. No, this is my title. I'm submitting this to you. That is not going to, you know, good look good for your publications. So while your research paper's role is to prove the merits of your research, a strong introductory cover letter is your opportunity to highlight the significance of your research and sell its concept to the journal editor. So you should use similar like your title and your abstract. The covering letter is a selling point, selling tool to the editor. So do not overlook, the importance of this. You should, keep it in mind. So this is given an opportunity to sell your paper to the journals. And also you should not send your wrong editor address. You should be very careful, when you are sending a journal to clinical rehabilitation, journal of clinical rehabilitations, you should not address some other journal's editor name, or the editor, the journal name. So you should not do this mistake. It usually happens when you get rejected from one journal. When we trying to submit to a different journal, you just copy paste and send it, same. So that's, having issues. You should not do that. You should not do that, silly mistakes. And also, they will review your paper based on your covering letter, right? So you need to highlight the novelty of paper, and why the readers of the journal it's very important, how this going to, improve the, going to reach your audience, why this is important for your audience. This that needs to be, added in your covering letters, right? And also the significant, how your study findings going to add, more values to your journals, to your audience, right? Make sure that you are mentioning your novelties. And similarly, when you are writing your manuscript, I would recommend, based on your manuscript writing, use some reporting scientific guidelines for reporting scientific manuscript. This is based on the type of study that you do, case reports, diagnostic accuracy, observational study, the randomized control trials. They use different guidelines. So when you write this systematic review or meta analysis, the Prisma guidelines, so different guidelines are available. You should go through those guidelines when writing your manuscript. That's going to guide you what you should include in your manuscript. So high impact journals, always look for this, whether the authors has go through or consider the guidelines while writing this paper or not, right? So one of the key issue is when you're writing your RCT, so it should be registered. One of the guidelines says that you should register your RCT before publications, and also the systematic review, it should register, right? So these guidelines will provide, the real-time guidelines for you while writing your paper. So what are the to, to summarize this, I just want to add top 10 avoidable reasons manuscript rejections. So when you address the wrong journals, format and preparations, disorganized study design, defective tables and figures, if you're using wrong tables and figures, poor organization throughout your study, and spelling error, typo errors, and also no problem statement and no hypothesis. When the introduction is very, very important, you should state your problems. You should state that. So when you have no problem statement, hypothesis, your paper will be rejected. And no or insufficient conclusions. And over interpretation of results. That's what it's very common, people, they overstate their results. This can be, you should be very careful in, interpreting your results. Article unfocused, too verbose and too long. I see some of the article introductions is more than 10 paragraphs. Your research sections for 4 or 5 paragraphs. I think it's too long for them. Usually the journal considered 3,500 to 4,000 words. If it goes beyond this, if your paper get accepted, they will ask you to cut short, truncate your the words. So you should be very, very careful in the contents. And inappropriate statistics methods, the methods are not sufficient to repeat the study, and also poorly written abstract and title. It should be the first, poorly written and abstract and titles. So these are the some avoidable reasons for manuscript rejections. I want to add, to give some tips, since some people are currently starting, we need more support. I think there is a software that is available that will, enrich your writings. So there are academic, it's a ref and write. This is allow you to uh, phrases, templates of phrases, which is available from this. While writing in your Word documents, it will give some phrases. It has been used. I mean, used by different published articles, right? So you can do changes in that. And also second one, the scholarly. I think this is going to summarize your articles. For example, you want to do a literature search. You download 100 articles. If each article 10 pages, it's very difficult to go through in each and every article in detail. But the scholars have the edge to summarize your key concept, key area, summary of your article that you are reviewing. And also the quillbot, where use is paraphrase your sentence. And also Grammarly, that we can use for the grammar check. There are other Ginger and many softwares are available. You can use that. And finally, you should use this plagiarism checker. I mean, Turnitin. Maybe if you're in university, the university get access to it. Utilize this. If you get more than usually most of the scientific journals, high impact journals, they accept less than 10% of the plagiarisms. So when you have this plagiarism more than 10, make sure that you are rewriting it, paraphrasing it, without getting high plagiarism report. So this is the one tip: use softwares which will support your writings. And also another method of doing it is like get a model paper. I think people misunderstood the model paper. They should not select the same paper, I mean similar paper. Are they doing it? For example, I'm doing a study on such area. They should not select the model paper which is already published. That is not a model paper. So you should choose a model paper to write your manuscript. So what do you mean by model paper here? How would you choose? It's very simple. Go for high ranked paper in your field, in our field. So what we can do, select that, this is based on your field of interest. For example, you are writing a paper on osteoarthritis. Get the best journal which is published on osteoarthritis. So get the paper, one full manuscript, and go through how they organize, how do they start their introductions, how they stated the objectives, how they narrated, how they use the methodology section, how did they written the result sections, how did they conclude it. You take that a model paper. Suppose if you do RCT, most of the RCT are the same, the method they're going to use the same. So you will get some ideas to take highly impact or highly ranked papers in your field, or quartile 1 papers. So get and download that and see how they have written it, how they handle each paragraph. Especially the paragraph writing, it's very, very important. We are not expert in writing it. People, even they from the from the very good in academics, they very difficult to write their a paragraph, the scientific and academic paragraph writings. So you should be very careful in that. So this model paper will give you some ideas how to write a paragraph. Look through the skeleton, how they have written it, get those informations and try to integrate in your writings, right? So use the model papers. So that's all for today. So with this, the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people says you cannot do it. Don't say that we cannot do it. A elephant can draw a beautiful portrait. This real. The picture is taken from Chiang Mai, Thailand. One of the elephant camp. I was surprised to see these animals. They can do wonders. They can draw. Wonderful portraits and pictures. We can't be. We are much more than animals. The greatest pleasure. If we see like people cannot do it, yes, we can do it. I think that is what you should have open your mind to learn new things, the challenges in your life. Thank you once again for everyone for your kind attention. I hope this is just a nutshell of writing your papers and high impact journals. Hope it is useful for to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a thought-provoking session. I'm sure all the attendees, they must have many points to take back home. So we have some questions ready for you.
Yep.
Shall I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. So we have Mr. Balaji Gandhi. He wants to ask why publications or research in physiotherapy is less in India as compared with other professions.
That's a very valid question. I think the problem is our exposure. We are not, look the significance of publications, and also we are not cultivating that culture now. So we should improve, we should educate, we need to support, we need to provide trainings in the area of writing, manuscript writing and research writings. So actually we are not much expert in that areas. So I think now the scenario is changing. Now most of us in every academic section, they were compelled to do the research. They are advised to publish their papers. So now this changing, the people wants to publish, to go to the standard where everyone get good publication in their treasures.
Okay, so the next one is how to identify predatory journals.
Could you please repeat again, ma'am? What was the question?
How to identify predatory journals.
How to identify journals, right?
Predatory journals.
What do you mean by that?
Fake journals.
Fake journal. Okay. I think it's another important one. Actually, we get a lot of emails. If you submit a paper within a night, it will get published online. Even if you see this impact factor, which is more than 10, right? So what we need to do is, there are some websites, this index websites like a Scopus or SJR. You can go to the Web of Science. You can see, if anyone asks you to publish in the journals, take the name and go and search in the list in the Scopus. Okay. So if you find the names in the Scopus listed index journal, then you submit. Otherwise, you don't need to submit there. So no point. That's not going to have, add values to your profession, and also values to your academic careers. That is a waste of time and your money. So you should go either the SJR website. You can see the SJR if it's not indexed in SJR, or you can go to the Scopus. Search. You can just Google and see the Scopus journal list or Web of Science list, so that you will get the. If your journal is not listed there, better not to go there and publish your papers or intellectual work. Yep.
Thank you, sir. The next is why the good articles by Indian authors are mostly rejected by high-ranked international physiotherapy journals.
Okay, it's not all the time. I can see few Indian journals has been submitted, has been accepted. If your quality of your paper is good, definitely that's you the acceptance of your uh, of your work will be high. But having said that, the only problem is the way we write. The problem is we thought that our work is the best one without checking at what others they have done in our areas. Suppose you are doing the same problems, you're doing the same study, what the others have done already, it's not going to publish in international journal, right? And also it's better to collaborate with those who are already publishing it, so that is going to increase your visibility. The trick is collaborate with the outside of India as well. I mean, those who are highly reputed institute. So create a network so that you chance of getting publication is very very high. Get involved other people, experts, national and international authors. So when you include the international authors, you will have high impact of your paper, and also acceptance of your paper is very high.
So there is a linked question to this that all the highly ranked international journals they charge high fees, and most of them they are quite expensive.
That's true, actually. I think there are some journals which also publish freely, especially the Sage publications. I mean, they're not charging anything. Even Australian Physiotherapy Journal, they're not charging anything. I think we need to find out under the guidelines to authors, the best journals, and see whether they're asking for money. I think there are good number of journals they don't ask any money as well, publication charge or uh, processing charges. Another one is like European Journal of Physiotherapy. They are not charging anything. So we need to search through journals, the best journals, those who are publish your work without paying anything.
Then
There are two things are there. One is if you want to publish open access, you need to pay. I mean, especially in Sage, if you want to publish open access, so once your paper is published, it get access to everyone. Another one is a closed publications. So this is for that you don't need to pay. So for the open access you need to pay, whereas the closed access you don't need to pay, but the journal will generate money based on the subscription that they made out of your journal. Yeah.
okay, so there's another linked statement with this that sometimes international journals do not respond a year or more than that, and they don't even acknowledge the author about rejection or acceptance of the paper.
I think
How true?
it's very crucial actually. That's what when you select your journal, you should do some study on it. The study is that you should do when you see, download few articles from the journal and see the date of submissions, the date of publications, and see the duration. If the duration is too long, say like more than 6 months, then better not to entertain that. Second one, and also look for um, some reviewers, if you have in a contact, so they will guide you for the best journals. And another important point I want to make here, when you want to choose a journal, you make sure that they publish every month, the best one. Because if a journal publish, I mean, twice a year, yearly, twice, so your chances of getting published in a year is very very less, or within a 6 months is very less, because they're going to get large number of papers, so that they may not get your paper to publish soon. So better to choose a journal which is publications every month or every quarterly, so and also the point of date of submission, and the date of acceptance, the time frame. So you should look at all those, areas, so that you can able to improve your publications.
So shall I move on to the next
Yes,
question?
yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Titles of research paper has to be in simple language or in specific medical terminologies only. This is the other question.
Okay, see, this is based on your audience. I think if your paper is like your scientific audience, your physiotherapy fraternity, so you should use related words with the physiotherapy. It's better, better not to use your colloquial language, or the common language that we use. Better to use scientific language. That's why you need to using the Bloom's taxonomy, high end, critical, analytic action verb should be used. Huh? And
Yes.
also keep it very, very, very short, not more than 12 or 15 words.
Okay. So next question is why the title should not have a question mark.
I think it's not a strict rule actually, because question mark, even I wonder, when there was suggestions from the author, they said like we should not use a question mark. But now what I also feel that even I publish on papers, I used question marks, got published. Huh? So there is no strict rules in, hard rules here, but still you can use it. Yeah.
Uh, Next question is that how the clinical physiotherapists, one who are in their private practice, how can they get the ethical clearance for their studies?
Exactly. This is the problem. Yes. Yes. What they can do, they can collaborate with the academic people. What is the problem? That's what I'm saying. You cannot, but we cannot, as as an individual, independent person, to do a better research, right? So we need a collaborative, team or a group. So what they can do, they can have a link with the academics. So they have access to ethical clearance, ethical presentations, you know so this is what they should do. See, if you want to create a high impact journal or publication, you must have a very good team, and also this kind of like ethical clearance you should have. So it's better to collaborate with others who have access to this. I think I want to share one more thing. Actually, here there was a conference in 2000, I think 11 or 12, the International Hand Therapy Conference in Delhi, in Noida. There was a person from Stanley Medical College. Is a chief surgeon there. He was a pioneer in develop the hand unit. Actually, hand unit in Stanley Medical College is one of the best in India. So what was his speak about is like, what was quoting that I was so busy, he was so busy in, operating and setting up new department, other things, but he couldn't able to communicate scientifically to others, right? So that's what he said. I'm very sorry, I couldn't able to communicate, I couldn't publish much, despite I have done more than many surgeries, very, very crucial, very important surgery in his field. So this is what very important, especially in clinically, those who are expert, they're clinically working, they should start, documenting those, your clinical practice. Either you want to do a big study in collaboration with the academicians, or you can start your small, very simple study, or you publish in Q1, Q2 or Q3 journals. It's well and good, not try to reach the high impact journals, but in the way you can communicate your research finding, in your physiotherapy fraternity. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next question is how can we inculcate research habits in students?
The only thing is we need to create the culture. So before telling the students to do the research, the faculties or the academicians to start this research, they should empower in research first. So once you empower them in research, that's going to translate similar kind on students. So we should cultivate the quality of research on the teachers, on the experts, on leaders and supervisors in physiotherapy. That's going to translate to the next generations, the students. And also we now your curriculum is made in such a way that the research is a compulsory component, both the your undergrads, postgrads. It's a very compulsory component, which was not there before. But when we did our undergrads, that time we don't have uh, you know um, research topic, or we need to submit your research dissertation capstone. But now it is compulsory. So this is a one way you can cultivate the habit of creating culture of writing papers. I think I would one more example, I would say, like, some people, some students are taking their own interest. They're coming up and asking, sir, I want to do this. Still, even the BPT second year, third year, asking us, sir, I want to do some research, could you guide? This is, if you see that the students see you as a good guide, they always come to you for a collaborations or for a guidance, for the research. So first, we must create the habit among the leaders in physiotherapy, in academics and clinicians. So that's going to translate to the next generations. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, the question is there any specific format where we can document the findings properly in a systematic and simple way?
Systematic.
And simple way.
It means to write a paper, to write a
I think so.
manuscript.
Yeah.
I think there is an
So
international.
document the findings.
Okay, see, when you write your when you write your result sections, the result sections always start with your demographic details, right? You just say, like, what is the populations, sample size, male and female. Then when you see, suppose you are using your paired t-test or a t-test, unpaired t-test, there are some guidelines, APA guidelines. This is tells you how to report your findings in your results, right? People, they use the sometimes they use their own language that is not correct. They should, when you write a scientific manner, they should use some guidelines. Something I will usually use APA guidelines to reporting your study results. If you just Google and see what is the APA guidelines to report your ANOVA table or PAT titers or correlation coefficients, this is how we need to uh, present your report, your study findings. In addition to this, those who are working in clinical setup, they can create a database. Database will give you, when you seeing patients, adding your all information of your patient in a database, I think it will give a whole quality of data you can able to analyze, after some time, after 6 months and a year, that will going to produce a good data in which you can write a papers. I think what happens, like, we are not documenting our clinical data much. In case, especially those who are working in clinical setup, they do assess patients, but they are not documenting well in their clinical practice. So that is, they miss very important data that can be utilized for their research writing. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, any specific format for recording the database in clinics?
Database, see, there are this is depends on you. What kind of information you want to feed in. Suppose if you want to specialize in back or orthopedic related clinics, so you create a database, assessment database, your formats in a digital form. Fill those forms. There are a number of softwares are available. Online softwares are available. TM3, So these softwares will guide you, intake of your entire system of your business. Your I mean, patients registration, assessment, your planning of your treatment, everything will be there. So that is going to be stored in somewhere so that you can get access to those data. Not one, I mean, this is going to improve your clinical practice and also your research. Your research, again, this research is going to improve your clinical practice, right?
So we have an attendee who wants you to elaborate on over-interpretation of result.
Over interpretation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me explain this. What happens when you want to study like effect of exercises, knee strengthening exercises? Okay. Or I will put it differently. If you want to assess the effect of uh, Swiss ball exercises to improve your balance, sitting balance, right? So after interventions, what you have found? We used only one group, used balance, on balance training on a Swiss ball. What we found was significant improvement. You got a p-value for 0.05. It means like you have a significant improvement in your study. I mean, post-intervention, patient has improved their balance. But p-value, sometimes it's misleading, especially when you have your small sample size, right? So what we must use is, even if you have a very good sample size, the other way of looking at your data, your outcome, is better to go for the effect size calculations. See, if you state that your study results produce highly significant changes in the balance post interventions, but when you have this your effect size calculations, that is mild or moderate or low effect size, it may not be uh, good enough to say that your study has proved that highly effective when you do exercise on Swiss ball, isn't it? So this is overstating that based on your statistics. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, sir. You answered it very well. Any more questions by the participants, please? I don't think so, sir. This was the last question for you.
Okay.
Okay, so winding up this session, I would like to thank Dr. Suresh Mani, sir, for such an enlightening presentation on the pitfalls of publishing in a right way. A much needed session for physios, I suppose. Before I hand over the mic to Dr. Jasprit, on behalf of IAPWC Punjab and IAP Punjab chapter, I would like to extend a hearty vote of thanks to the honorable delegates for making out time for this webinar. I must mention my deep sense of gratitude for Dr. Sandeep Saini, our chief guest, and Dr. Suresh Mani, our eminent resource person, for providing us with such a valuable session. Extending my thanks to Dr. Ruchi Vashne ma'am and Dr. Sanjeev Jha sir for making possible of this platform for all the physios nationally to gather at one site and discuss topics related to their specialty.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh Mani sir, for the wonderful session. I hope every participants acquire knowledge. I am very thankful to IAP President Dr. Sanjeev Jha sir and IAP Treasurer Dr. Ruchi Vashne ma'am for giving us all the participants such a big platform to learning in this lockdown period. I want to thank IAP Women Cell Punjab team, Dr. Davinder Dhillon ma'am, Dr. Reena ma'am, Dr. Priyanka ma'am, to organizing such a great event. And I hope so IAP Women Cell Punjab chapter will bring up with much more great topics to learn again. I request to all the participants, please like and subscribe your own IAP India YouTube channel and Facebook page for watching all online webinars. Last but not least, I want to thank IAP India technical team, Dr. Uthra ma'am, Dr. Alopi ma'am, who've made me capable to host this event. Thank you so much and good night, everyone.